pre-recorded.
Broadcasting live on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, in the evenings on WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk. In the nighttime hours in Seattle, 1150 AM KKNW. And of course on BAM, the Blue Amp Media Network at blueamp.co on Substack. That's blueamp.co on Substack. It is the Matt McNeil Show for your Monday. Good to be with you today. Matt and Patrick here today. Coming up here in the next hour, got a pair of tickets to give away to Men on Boats. So this is over at the 825 Arts Building. That's going to be coming up here for Thursday through Sunday. Got your chance of when you can win those tickets. That's coming up here in the next hour. Patrick, how was your weekend?
It was pretty unspectacular. I hope yours was more memorable.
No, I was a pretty light weekend. I went out to the fish fry on Friday, which, by the way, seriously, IHM magnificence. That was fantastic. And I got into a discussion with this guy from North Dakota. The guy from North Dakota apparently took my liking of my local fish fry as some sort of personal assault when he said, "Oh, you don't get the fish fries." Dude, no. I will concede the loss. Have you been to a church luncheon in a small church in a small town out in rural America? Oh my. That's a lot of homemade goodness right there. That is, I have zero doubt that the loving hands of elderly church ladies is making unbelievable food in the basement of the churches in North Dakota. Zero doubt. Probably with a little bit of Scandinavian flair. 100%. I'm all over that action. And throw a little bit of Native American fry bread in there. Yum. There you go. So, no, that is the thing about Friday fish fries. The smaller the town you go to, and I want to tell my liberal friends, hey, progressives, there is a reason for you to venture out into rural America. It's those Friday fish fries. Because trust me, I mean, it might be a little bit, okay, but just focus on the food and you'll have a good time. Now, frankly, I have yet to come across any Friday night fish fries with fish tacos that aren't as good as in the metro area. They are fan-freaking-tastic. But I'm heading to another one this weekend. So, yeah, that was good fun. Patrick, you heard me that I wounded myself sleeping, right?
I think I missed this.
Did you? My back? You did not hear about this? So about a week ago, maybe a little more than a week ago, I went to bed and the bed won. And I woke up and I was having some back pain. And it progressively got worse and worse and worse. So last Friday, I actually went over to urgent care, had an x-ray done. Nothing's broken. It just looks like it's inflamed. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to age like this. I mean, I could come up with a story like I was taking on there were 7 white supremacist bikers who were trying to kill a puppy. And I decided not today. But no. I should have shared that from the beginning. No, I got hurt by my bed. And it's been pretty bad. And as a matter of fact, it was really bad Friday night to Saturday. I don't blame the fish fry. I don't. But I kind of have started figuring things out. I'm starting to feel a little bit better. But still, it was kind of a very low-key weekend. I did a little walk at a smaller lake, about a mile and a half. I went for a little walk today. Really, Saturday, I stayed inside and did a puzzle all day. So that was the excitement and the drama there. We did go down and get some food out of downtown Minneapolis because we're supporting businesses down there that night, but really not much else because I'm 57 years old and all of a sudden the bed's had enough of me. And I don't blame it. I mean, it's really been a one-sided relationship up to this point. And I mean, I know, hey, me lying on top of you every single night can't be a pleasant thing. So, needless to say, the back is still recovering. I get an MRI this week. Did you know that? There you go.
Ooh, exciting.
And that's not going to be Brett holding a flashlight to my back. Although, we have some extra rooms here in the basement of the radio complex. We could start our own healthcare clinic here, couldn't we? What are you good with? What do you want to focus on? What's Dr. Patrick going to be treating here?
I will get back to you on a later date.
All right. Actually for us in Minnesota, there was the big sports event, the high school hockey tournament. The boys tournament finished up and it was nice. Both outstate teams basically won the state championship in hockey, which if you've never been to the Minnesota State high school hockey tournament, it actually is kind of a pretty, cool deal, at least, for us here locally. And so you got Warren and Moorhead, right? Both of winning there.
Yeah, that's right.
The outstate people are very happy the suburbanites did not win it again. I actually, though, want to focus on, did you see what happened at the Los Angeles Marathon?
I've not seen this.
Okay. This was pretty interesting. So, as you can imagine, the people that run this thing, they're speedy. And at 26.2 miles, what was okay, I can tell you the time here. What was it? It was 2 minutes, 10 seconds, 2 hours, 11 minutes, 18 seconds. 2 hours, 11 minutes, 18 seconds for 26 miles. Even if I was on fire, no chance. So the leader of the race at the end was Kenya's Michael Kamau, Kamau. He was running. Obviously, you don't see anybody. He's coming towards the finish line. You don't see anyone coming behind him. He's looking behind him, but he clearly is not taking whatever what he sees behind him seriously. And he should have. Behind him was a guy named Nathan Martin from Michigan. He clinched the victory with an all-out sprint to the finish line. And by the time the guy from Kenya realized what was happening, it was one step too late. And Martin, hailing from Jackson, Michigan, completed that race course once again at 2 hours, 11 minutes, and 18 seconds. The same exact time as the Kenyan, but he finished. It was a photo finish on the LA Marathon, which is crazy. I can't even remember the last time we saw something like that for a marathon. Maybe for like the 100-meter dash or something. The guy from Kenya had not consumed any fluids during the race, and he absolutely collapsed at the finish line and had to get medical treatment. Martin, 36, balances his athletic pursuits with his role as the substitute teacher and track and cross country coach at Jackson High School in Michigan. His personal best marathon set at the Grandma's Marathon in Duluth, Minnesota, which is if you're a marathon runner, that's a great marathon to run. He established a record as the fastest U.S.-born Black marathoner at 2 hours, 10 minutes, and 45 seconds for 26 miles. How many of us have a car that can't go that fast? These guys flying down the road. Is there a lane on the highway for them? There should be. If you can do that, it'll nowadays it will cut back on your gas prices. That's for sure. Amazing. So yeah, if you've not seen the video footage of this, it is a photo finish at the end of the LA Marathon, and that is pretty incredible. And for all the people, when is Grandma's is in June, right? They do that up in Duluth?
Yeah, middle of June.
Grandma's is in June. If you've not run that race up in Duluth, they run on the North Shore of Lake Superior. It's spectacular and flat, so it's a good marathon to run. And then the Twin Cities one here in the Twin Cities is in October, so you can enjoy that as well. I'm not doing it. I just got taken out by a freaking bed. You think I'm gonna? The bed won. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. All right. Deep cleansing breath. Let it out. Deep cleansing breath. Let it out. I want to go back to the story we led with last Friday, which there are moments where I kind of look at our society and our culture and ask, what is wrong with us? How did we get so broken? The America I grew up in the 1970s and 1980s, if we would have had a pandemic, everybody would have put on a mask, said, hey, when we get the vaccinations, Republican and Democrat would have worked together to get the vaccinations out to the American people. And we would have probably had a much bigger success story than we had in 2020, where just this never-ending desire to hate on the libs has created this world of just twisted, demented societal logic, which is hard for me to wrap my head around. I mean, it really is, because I'm a rational, kind of straightforward kind of person. And I don't look at this stuff. I mean, yeah, of course, wear a mask. Let's get protocols. Let's get everyone get vaccinated. And if you do truly have some sort of legitimate, whether religious reason or a health reason you can't get vaccinated, well, then we try to make some accommodations for you. But you sitting and saying, I want to get chicken wings at the sports bar because I don't know how to cook. And so I need the sports bar open to get me chicken wings so I can eat food. That's not a viable reason for you to sicken people. And my God, do we forget in 2020 how many people like that? I didn't think it was a big deal. And they'd show up for an airline flight or for a church choir practice or for a class at a university. And the next thing you know, 20 people in the class are sick. Exactly. Selfishness. The age of selfishness, the age of greed. Stupid people used to know they were stupid and would think before they would go out there and say, I don't think that the pandemic's real, as everyone's dying. And we sure as hell would not have given that person equal time and equal coverage because there's two sides to every issue. Oh, okay, so we should have, how about single-payer healthcare? Well, that's a liberal talk. We don't want to talk about that. Yeah, you see where I'm going with that. On Friday, I brought up this story. According to an interview with a woman conducted by the FBI as part of an investigation into Jeffrey Epstein, those were some of the first words Donald Trump directed at a woman. Let me teach you how little girls are supposed to be, before he began a sexual assault that ended with Trump reportedly hitting her and pulling her hair. Overshadowed by Thursday's firing of Kristi Noem, the FBI released the missing interviews that they said that had already been released. Everything had been released with the Epstein victim, whose explosive allegations sent shockwaves through Washington. According to Politico, an unidentified woman alleged she was a teenager when Epstein introduced her to Trump. In files dated between August and October 2019, the woman, whose name is redacted, claims she was between the ages of 13 and 15 years old. Epstein took her to either New York or New Jersey in a very tall building with large rooms. She introduced her to Trump. Trump said, I didn't like that I was a boy girl in interviews, which meant tomboy. According to the women's account, other people were present initially, but she could not recall who they were. Trump asked them to leave, then said something to the effect of, let me teach you how little girls are supposed to be. He then unzipped his pants and, he raped her. When she didn't do it to his liking, he pulled her hair, punched her on the side of the head. Get this, be the hell out of here, the woman recalled him saying. At that point, others re-entered the room. Now, in a sane world, that would have been the end of him. But yet, here we are. More on this when I come back. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
Next Chapter Booksellers is the perfect destination for indoor winter activities. Cozy up with a book. They have all the bestsellers and new releases. Plus, their booksellers are great at making recommendations. Beyond books, enjoy mind-bending puzzles and family fun board games for those snowy days. And don't miss Next Chapter's in-store events, book clubs, author signings, and children's story time. So stay busy this winter with Next Chapter Booksellers off Snelling and Grand in St. Paul. More at nextchapterbooksellers.com.
Hi, this is Chad from AM 950. I've been telling you about Snap Construction, the company AM 950 trusts for all roofing and siding needs. Now that spring is here and summer is around the corner, now is a great time to find out why AM 950 trusts Snap Construction. Ryan, the owner, and his team at Snap Construction have been great to work with, and they have enjoyed working with our listeners.
Hi, this is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. We've absolutely loved working with the listeners at AM 950. What a great group of people and a great radio station. I personally want to thank all the listeners that we've had the opportunity to work with. At Snap Construction, we look forward to working with many more of you when it comes to your roofing, siding, windows, and insulation. Don't just take Chad's word for it. Google Snap Construction, arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, window, and insulation contractor in the Twin Cities metro. We led this community with a lifetime craftsmanship warranty. Don't wait to get a free estimate. Call today, 612-333-SNAP, 612-333-SNAP, or visit us online, snapconstruction.com.
Introducing a breakthrough in time management technology. A whole new day of the week. It's called Someday. Ingenious. Perhaps someday you are going to go skydiving. Enter a hot dog eating contest. Maybe ride a mechanical bull. Now it's on the calendar. You may want to retire someday. Ready for that? You'll really want this. A My Social Security account at socialsecurity.gov. You can estimate your future benefits, plan for your retirement, and how to save for it. If you already receive benefits, you can manage them online. Millions of people already have a My Social Security account. In fact, someone opens one about every 6 seconds. Get yours today, because someday is here at socialsecurity.gov.
What if I told you that toxic pesticides from crop seeds and lawns have spread all over Minnesota's lands and water, devastating wildlife and posing risks to our health? Well, it's true. But a coalition of Minnesota farmers, community members, anglers, and more are taking action to protect our state from neurotoxic pesticides. To learn more and get involved, visit cleanerseed.org. That's cleanerseed.org. And tune to Food Freedom Radio.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. Thanks for being with us here today. And by the way, you can find me on the social medias. Yeah. Hipsters, home slice. I don't know what I'm doing. How do I appeal to? If you want to find me on social media, go to Substack, Matt McNeil Show, Blue Sky, Matt McNeil Show, Matthew McNeil 1 in Threads, and Progressive Citizen X, Matt McNeil Show on the Facebook. Ta-da! It's like hanging out with grandpa. No. I'm still young and hip. I'm Generation X. I'm still, no. The bet got me, you say. Okay, great. 952-946-6205. All right. So Friday, we had this discussion. And once again, this is an unbelievable accusation against any person. It would be major news in any state if it was a leader of, say, a church group or a principal of a school. It would probably be the story of the decade in most states if it was a senior elected official within that state, was allegations of them raping a 13-year-old and then beating them. But Donald Trump is accused of this, and frankly, I believe the girl, so I think Donald Trump's a child rapist. I believe all the women that have basically made all these things, and people, including the national news media, shrug their shoulders and say, what you going to do? It's a 13-year-old kid. During one interview, the woman disclosed that she had retained attorneys and wanted to be upfront about her pending civil case. In the event the agents determined the conflict of interest could occur, the woman told the FBI that she and people close to her had received threatening phone calls, including one left on the coworker's phone, but intended for her. She believes the calls were related to Epstein and stated under her breath that if it was not Epstein, maybe it was the other one. When agents asked who she meant, she identified Trump as the other one. And there was other allegations that came out this week, and I saw posted of women that have accused Trump of this, of being almost run off the road in some cases, which, by the way, that's on brand for Trump. His level of intimidation and thuggery is well known. Well, since that time, according to the Post and Courier, key details of the account of a woman who accused Trump of sexually assaulting her when she was a minor were verified Sunday in an explosive investigation. The woman who first came forward to the FBI following the 2019 arrest of Jeffrey Epstein and was interviewed by the agency 4 separate times, a Justice Department source told the Miami Herald that the woman was found credible by the agency, the outlet reported. So the agency felt as if she was credible, that this was a credible allegation against Trump. In her interview with the FBI, the woman accused Epstein and at least 2 other associates, including Trump, of sexually assaulting her when she was 13. She accused Trump of sexually assaulting her, pulling her hair and punching her in the side of the head sometime in the mid-1980s. While details of the specific allegations against Trump were not further verified by the Post and Courier, other details she provided to the FBI were giving further credence to her account. Details verified by the Post Courier include the fact that the mother had rented a home to Epstein in South Carolina. The outlet also verified details of another associate of Epstein's that she accused of sexually assaulting her, an Ohio businessman that she said was affiliated with the Cincinnati-based college and whom the outlet confirmed was a member of a for-profit school. The woman also accused Epstein of possessing nude photographs of her as a minor and extorting her mother for money to keep them secret. Wow. Which she said led to her mother to begin stealing money. Wow. The Post and Courier confirmed the mother had been charged with stealing $22,000 from the real estate firm she worked for. The woman's identity was verified by the Post and Courier by cross-referencing details in her account with various public records and old news clippings, though the outlet declined to name her, and both she and the attorney declined to comment on the report. Due to the sheer volume of the Epstein-related materials released by the DOJ, many of the documents contain unverified, uncorroborated allegations that do not constitute evidence, but do not establish wrongdoing. Trump is not facing any criminal charges or the investigations related to the allegations, which is the crazy part. President Obama salutes a Marine with a coffee cup in his hand, and there's immediately 20 calls for him to be removed from office. This weekend, the moron in chief, Trump, goes on out to this solemn ceremony to have the remains of those 6 soldiers returned to the United States, and Donnie Dingbat can't take off his freaking baseball cap. He sat there with a baseball cap on. A 7-year-old, go to a baseball game, a 7-year-old knows when the national anthem comes on, you take off your cap. That idiot it's just the never-ending litany of these allegations against him, where the FBI feels she's credible. Once again, Trump himself has bragged about this. I want you to think about if this was just some neighbor of yours, not anyone specific, I'm not referring to anyone, but just I want you to think about the amount of leeway this neighbor, if it was the same things had been accused of by Trump, were accused of that neighborhood, how much levels of delusion you had to engage in to make them not guilty of child rape, or at least enough evidence here. I mean, once again, any other human being on the planet, if you brought 1/100th of the evidence we have against Trump to a courtroom, he would be found guilty fairly quickly. And yet, hundreds of people accuse him of bad deeds, and they're all lying. He says the Epstein files are fraudulent, which then they say that they don't exist. Then they say, oh, well, we're going to release them. Then they basically try to hide all this stuff out of here. And once again, we should note that in the releasing of these Epstein files, what did the DOJ do? They went and basically made sure all the victims' names were known so that the right-wing troll army could go get them. But all the people who raped the children, all the people who blackmailed the children, all the people that trafficked the children, their identities were kept secret. If you had a neighbor, how many people would have to accuse a neighbor of sexual assault? Oh, no, I won't even say, child rape or anything like that. I'll just say sexual assault, but we're not, okay, we'll just do this. How many times would a neighbor be accused of that before you realize, okay, clearly this person's got a problem and let's make sure, he doesn't come anywhere near our family? 1, 2, 3? How many? Trump himself is, they'll let you rape them if you're powerful. He's on tape. The Access Hollywood tape. He's on the tape, and you guys all went, yay! Now we have, once again, details of this woman's story, which have been verified now. And the FBI says it's credible. And this is the president of the United States raping a 13-year-old, and then when they didn't do it right, as he was raping them, he physically assaulted a 13-year-old. If you saw a 13-year-old in a park getting abused by a parent, you'd step in. But you guys on the MAGA right can't sit there and make enough excuses. And this is just the latest example. For God's sakes, people, find your morality. This guy should not be president or out of a jail cell. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
It's Brad Friedman, host of the Bradcast, weeknights at 7 on AM 950. KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
In today's uncertain times, Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces believes that a fire can add comfort and security to your life. At Woodland, our mission is to connect you to a place for fire that works.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces installed our wood stove years ago, and we still love it. Watching the fire, feeling the heat, is a joy we experience every day. And knowing we have a reliable heat source makes us feel snug and safe.
There are many choices in wood, gas, or electric. For diversity in styles, at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we display over 180 models, and 35 of these are burning displays. You can experience the glow and warmth of a live fire.
Whether wood, gas, or electric, find a fire that warms your heart, a fire that adds comfort and security to your life. See the many choices at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, located on the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis, and online at woodlandstoves.com.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces since 1977. For over 48 years, our slogan has been, out of the ordinary products and services. Our mission is to get you a fireplace that works in your life.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067, or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. The end of winter is finally on the horizon, and you're going to start thinking about all that nasty crud that's built up in your home over these last few months. Call my cleaning heroes at Zero Res to help get you an early start on the spring cleanup. Zero Res removes winter's buildup and lingering odors, giving your home a fresh, spring-ready feel. This month, get Zero Resified from Minnesota's #1 carpet cleaner. Buy one room, get another free. Buy another room of carpet cleaning, get another room of carpet done for free. Get the picture? Also this month, get a free size upgrade on every whole home air duct cleaning package. Don't you love when you buy your favorite beverage and get a free size upgrade? That's what Zero Res is doing this month with their whole home air duct cleaning package. Start spring cleaning with a free upgrade and pay less for more fresh. Call Zero Res right now, 952-ZERO-RES, or go online to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same, Zero Res. With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Today, sunshine with a high of 54, then tonight partly cloudy with a low of 37. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has the best roast beef sandwiches in the Twin Cities, but don't miss out on the chicken, fish, brisket, Philly steak, and more. Maverick's is located in Roseville on Lexington Avenue, 1 mile south of Highway 36. Visit mavericksbeef.com.
AM 950 KTN up, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
How'd you get so low? Feeding that bad buzz in your head.
Broadcasting in the evenings on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. In Seattle, 1150 AM KKNW at night. On BAM, the Blue Amp Media Network at blueamp.co on Substack. That's blueamp.co on Substack. I see you. And, of course, on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It is the Matt McNeil Show for your Monday. Nice to have you with us here today. 952-946-6205. No, I mean, it's been bad enough. I said this a long time ago. I think I said this back in Trump's first term. I said that the standard MAGA voter could walk in on Donald Trump having sex with their spouse, and the first words out of their mouth would be "damn Democrats." And that's who they are. What's scary as hell is to realize that Donald Trump, a MAGA voter, could come in to their house and find Donald Trump raping their child and punching them. And the first words out of their mouth were, "damn Democrats." That is, when I talk about our broken society, that's it right there. I mean, we have a selfishness, the desire for people to just own the libs is overriding even their most basic common sense. That we all should be able to say, well, somebody who's been repeatedly and credibly accused of raping children probably shouldn't have the nuclear codes. because, they might, I don't know, start a war to try to take their pedophile crimes off the front page of the newspapers and drive up the cost of oil and destroy the economy just because he's terrified of facing actual consequences for raping children. And there isn't, like I said, the craziest thing about freaking Trump is that even like if it was like a bedrock within a society in most of these states, even the red ones, if they were caught with 1/100th of the allegations that Trump has against them, it would be a massive story. They'd be run out of whether it's the church or the school or whatever they were there. Or if it was a politician, it would be national news, but it's Trump. And the news media just shrugs their shoulders and what are we supposed to do about people raping children? Now, I'm sure the news media will forever, once Trump is gone, portray themselves as we were doing our due diligence, like it was Spotlight, the movie Spotlight. And we were always making that quite. No, you weren't. You insanely dropped the ball. Because you're a bunch of freaking cowards and you don't know how to do journalism, even if it was in your back pocket and you had two hands on your butt cheeks. You don't know how to do it anymore. It's terrifying. It is terrifying where we are at right now, in that you have a man who very likely raped a 13-year-old and then beat her up is making command decisions about Iran, attacking Iran. By the way, I have another one of these cases of just our broken societal, decency. And I'll get to that here in a second. But I mean, obviously, I want to make sure I mention, we do now know the identity of the seventh victim of Trump's war with Iran. The Pentagon has identified the seventh U.S. member killed in the war with Iran as a 26-year-old Army Sergeant Benjamin Pennington, a resident of Glendale, Kentucky. In a statement on Monday, the department said Pennington died on Sunday from injuries sustained during the Iranian strike on Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia on March 1st. The incident is under investigation, the statement said. Pennington was assigned to the 1st Space Battalion, 1st Space Brigade, Fort Carson, Colorado. The Pentagon said the brigade is part of the Army Space and Missile Defense Command. Is that Space Force? Is this quite? I mean, I'm presuming it'd be the first person from Space Force to be killed in action. Not sure. I mean, obviously, it's not quite clear if this was part of the Air Force or if this was actually Space Force. But I want to make a plea to everybody out there, as a veteran myself. Love the soldier. All right? Love the soldier. You don't have to love the leader. You don't have to love the war. Those are things that you can really despise with your whole soul. But the soldier is, none of these people that signed up said, oh yeah, I want to go do this. They just basically are being used by a white supremacist Secretary of Defense and a man so desperate to keep his pedophile crimes off the front page that he's willing to slaughter thousands and thousands of Iranians to do it. You can hate those guys, hate the war, don't hate the soldier. These people are just there to try to serve a country, which, even though it's flawed at times, is still our country, and we should not forget that. We also now know that indeed the United States killed 110 kids, and in that school in Iran. It's just so hard to even just kind of comprehend this sort of thing at this point. A U.S. Tomahawk missile hit the military base near a primary school in southern Iran, where Iranian authorities said 168 people, including 110 children, were killed. Expert video analysis has shown. The video published yesterday by Iran's semi-official Mehr news agency, which BBC verified has confirmed as authentic, shows a missile moments before it struck the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps base next to the primary school in Manab. BBC Verify has previously established through satellite imagery, verified videos, and expert analysis of that area near the school that was hit by a series of strikes. Experts who have seen the latest video told us the presence of the Tomahawk missile, along with the evidence of the area was hit with multiple strikes, indicates it was a U.S. government operation. Neither Israel nor Iran are known to possess Tomahawks. It would make the scenario of a single Iranian missile hitting the site at the same time, causing the high reported death toll, highly improbable, told the BBC. BBC was told. According to the BBC's U.S. news partner, CBS, the preliminary assessment of the incident by the U.S. suggests it was likely to have been responsible for the deadly attack, but not intentionally target the school and may have hit it in error. Well, I would hope you would have hit it in error. The Israeli government told CBS News that Israel was not behind the attack and its military was not operating near the school. Iran has blamed the U.S. and Israel for the attack. Neither the U.S. or Israel has publicly accepted or denied responsibility. As a matter of fact, they have kind of, quite the opposite, kind of acted like they did something good there. 110 dead kids. And if you look at a map, and they do have these around, you go to the BBC, I'll post the BBC story a little bit later on. You go and look at the map of this, this school is right next to the barracks, which means if you're going, but you see, we're not doing this like it was the movie Memphis Belle, where you're just dropping bombs out of the Bombay doors. You're not doing that. We're supposed to have precision weaponry that can target specific buildings. And this was, I guess, an oopsie that cost 110 kids their lives. I just, this whole thing is just, it's a nightmare unfolding, because this is only going to get worse and worse and worse. Death toll from Israeli strikes in Lebanon now is up to 486 people, including at least 83 children. Oh, and I'm sure Benjamin Netanyahu's biggest supporters will insist all those children were armed to the teeth terrorists. Yeah, I'm sure that the 1 and 2 year olds were insanely violent, but I'm obviously, not really. UNICEF, the UN's children's agency, said today that the staggering number of children have been killed in the Israeli strikes in the country, which at least 83 children killed, more than 10 each day, and 254 wounded since March 2nd. The figures are a stark testament to the toll this conflict is taking on the children. Once again, this is Lebanon. This is not Israel. Or excuse me, this is not Iran, where Israel is just, they decided to go after Lebanon too because Hezbollah is there. The military strikes continue across the country. Children are being killed and injured at a horrifying rate. And once again, this is UNICEF saying it. So it's got, it's not coming from some official government agency. It's UNICEF is saying, hey, no, we got 83 dead kids here. Families are fleeing their homes in fear. Thousands of children are now sleeping in cold and overcrowded shelters. Furthermore, 1,300 people have been injured since the Israeli attacks began on the 2nd of March after Hezbollah fired rockets towards Israel in response to the repeated Israel attacks and the assassination of Iran's late Supreme Leader Khamenei. At least 600,000 people, 600,000 people. That's more than the entire population of Minneapolis proper have been displaced in Lebanon since the fighting escalated last week. Where? And seriously, I want to put out this practicality thing. You've displaced 600,000 people. If you did do that in Minneapolis, where Minneapolis, I think, is like 470,000 in the city proper itself. It's 3.9 in the metro and the suburbs total. But the city of Minneapolis itself is like 470,000. If you had to evacuate the entire city, where you're filling up every school gym, you're filling up warehouse spaces, community centers, government buildings, and you're still not going to have enough space. And that's in Minnesota. Not a statement today, the Lebanese president issued unusually fierce and direct criticism of Hezbollah for setting off the renewed Israel offense with rocket barrage last week. And no one's here saying Hezbollah is the good guys, for God's sakes. No. But God, the heavy-handed nature of the Israelis. Because a lot of these people, I guarantee you, that 600,000, they ain't Hezbollah. Those 83 kids, they weren't Hezbollah. He told senior European officials in a phone call today that Lebanon was trapped between the Israeli assault and which show no respect for the laws of war, and an armed group operating outside the law in Lebanon, which has no regard for the interests of Lebanon for the lives of people. And neither one of them seems to have any problem killing off as many Lebanese people as possible. And that is a real freaking crime, quite literally. We used to sort of say to ourselves, well, we can't just start launching missiles into residential areas, into schools. But now it's, like I said, our broken morality. It's our broken morality. And this is happening. And I want to say this is happening as well with the whole thing with the oil and how this is, the entire oil sector, which if I can be up. Okay. By the way, I just saw this. You want an example of how crazy our economy is, how unhinged it is that the report came out today that because the oil supplies are basically being targeted, that the monetary groups, and I'll get into this a little bit later on, that have these oil reserves are going to release them. Now, some people would say, boy, that's not a good sign because the reserves are there for reserve. So once we burn through them, and doesn't look like we're going to get out of Iran anytime soon, well, that's a little bit of a problem. You think. But no, the fact that all of a sudden it was cheap oil, it's people looking for a quick payoff. Because we're tapping into our reserves, basically oil went down in price, which that's okay. And the Dow Jones went up 239 points. Doesn't make any sense. None of this makes any sense. This is absolute market manipulation going on by people who are doing this with the sole purpose of trying to just drive the market up enough so that they can dump their shares. They can sell their oil. They can do this at the expense of anything else. So, when did we, as a society, I'm going to tie this all together here. When did we as a society sort of say to ourselves, you know what? The United States military killing 110 kids, 83 kids dying in Lebanon who have nothing to do with anything. That's not a problem. But my gas being 40 cents more expensive per gallon, that's a bridge too far. Now, I don't get me wrong. I went out myself and filled up my gas tank today with gas because I could tell where things are going. And do not fool yourself. Gas prices are going to shoot back up because some people have unloaded what they've got. And trust me, that's going to happen. But that being said, a few extra cents. Okay, fine. I have to pay a few extra cents. Can we not kill the kids? Shouldn't that be our number one goal? Not murdering children in schools? Our broken society, man. It is broken. It is the Matt McNeil Show. For delicious gourmet popcorn, Popcorn, Popped corn.com has you covered. Popped corn offers your favorite flavors ready to go. Cheese made with real cheese, their classic mix. More than 80 great flavors. Enjoy featured flavors like Shamrock Caramel and their tasty fudge and nuts. They sell their popcorn in various bag, gift box, and tin sizes, and they ship across the USA. Visit poppedcorn.com and enter in discount code MATT to get 10% off your order. That's discount code MATT at popcorn, Popped corn.com, and make everyone smile.
Hi, I'm Mary T. I'm a proud supporter of AM 950 because this station shares the values that I care about most: community, connection, and making a difference. Just like AM 950, I believe in using our energies, our resources, and our voices to lift up others. That's why I started the Mary T. Scholar Program at the University of Minnesota College of Education and Human Development, providing graduate students with internships internationally. For over the past 10 years, our students have served communities in Laos, Cambodia, Nepal, India, Cameroon, and Thailand, gaining experience and helping people in ways that really make a difference. Supporting AM 950 fosters conversation, awareness, and action in our communities. It's about shared values and believing that together we can make a difference. Visit MaryTinc.com to learn more about the work that we do.
It's no secret that medical care costs are soaring, with nursing home and skilled nursing care costs being some of the highest. You don't have to deplete your savings in order to receive long-term care. At Schroman Law, we work with families to develop and implement strategic planning for medical assistance for long-term care, for assisted living, nursing home care, or home-based care. Contact us today to schedule a free consultation at schromanlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
Winter reading, losing yourself under a blanket with the fireplace blazing away while submerging yourself in a book and trying to finish just one more page? Winter nights are the perfect time to read, and that's where Next Chapter Booksellers can help. They're independently owned and have all the bestsellers and new releases. Not sure what to get? Their friendly booksellers are great at recommendations. That's your winter reading headquarters. Next Chapter Booksellers off Snelling and Grand. More at nextchapterbooksellers.com.
Prime Productions is thrilled to bring the world premiere of Abuelita by Nathan Youngerberg to the Capri Theater March 14th through the 29th. A grandmother from Iowa brings her grandson to meet his Puerto Rican relatives in sweltering New York, 1993. Tabby's world is transformed with music, dancing, and community. Directed by Shay Cage. Pay-as-you-are tickets can be purchased at primeprods.org. That's spelled prime, P-R-O-D-S.org.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. So, yeah, on Sunday, shortly after the oil went past $100, it was up to $120 a barrel today, basically. It shot past $100 at the opening of trading on Sunday evening. Trump posted on Truth Social that a gain in short-term oil prices was a small price to pay, destroying Iran's nuclear threat. Only fools would think differently. I'll get back to that in a second here. Gulf Arab states are cutting production because they are running out of storage space as crude piles up with nowhere to go due to the closures of the strait. Tankers are willingly transits the narrowing waterway because they're worried Iran will attack them. Okay, so Trump thinks that getting rid of the nuclear threat will somehow save the oil tankers because you don't need a nuke to take out an oil tanker. You can do it with a drone. I mean, I don't talk about a guy that just doesn't understand the war he is fighting. So fine. I mean, once again, Iran did not have nuclear capabilities to begin with. So this entire thing, if this was to stop nuclear capabilities, well, they didn't have it. So, but it's this idea of, well, once we get to that point, it's all done. No, these guys can still, they've got tons of weapons. They can still hit targets in the Persian Gulf. And yeah, they can shut down the oil industry pretty quickly. He doesn't seem to understand that. He doesn't seem to understand that this isn't a nuclear weapons thing. This is Iran has a geographical advantage considering most of our oil comes out of the Persian Gulf. He's just dumb. Oh, by the way, I said I was going to explain this here. All countries that are members of the International Energy Association are required to keep reserves of oil in case of disruptions of global supplies. The UK is a member. It meets that obligation. I got this story from the BBC. The EU has similar mechanism. Both require countries to have roughly 90 days worth of supply in reserve for moments like this. The oil itself is not in a single geographic location. Oil producers like Shell and BP keep stocks at terminals and refineries around the UK and as well as the US and can earmark stocks held elsewhere as counting towards their reserves. When it's released, it doesn't mean the sudden flood of new oil starts moving. It means that producers will make more available in the market for refineries to order. However, energy analysis have said that the BBC have given that there's a shortage of refining capacity. So this is not so much of, it's a multiple 1-2 punch here. Okay, fine. You release the crude oil onto the market. You still have to refine it. Well, and then there's not enough refineries to do this. There's not a magic switch to increase the flow of refined products like petrol and jet fuel. The releasing of the reserves is more of a confidence or sentiment-boosting measure to reassure markets that governments have recognized the threats, are acting to coordinate the address the problem. In short, it may not see oil prices fall, but it may stop them climbing as fast as they otherwise would have done. What we're seeing. Okay, so you're burning through your reserves. That's not good. That's not good. And what was it? There are some things that Trump has started talking about doing that he would, where was it there? He was thinking of multiple things. Here it is. Discussion there, including releasing strategic reserves, limiting exports. Well, in a capitalist society, we'll see how that goes. I mean, you get sued pretty quickly. Investing in intervening in the futures market, which once again, if you take over the futures market, well, then you can't. Yeah. Okay. Waiving taxes, which this might have, in the end run, might be a way for the oil companies to get even more money from the taxpayers, and easing the Jones Act, which I am not off the top of my head familiar with the Jones Act. So I don't know what that is, but those are what he's putting out there. It's all knee-jerk investing. It's like when they eventually are going to get the Fed to drop interest rates irrationally. Yes, there's going to be an initial, oh yeah, this is great. But once again, if you start dropping the interest rates down to 1.5, 2 points, sure, for a few weeks, you're going to have tons of people borrowing money. But then when that bubble happens and you need to lower interest rates, you don't have much room to wiggle with. And so it's basically a short-term gain. And it's like George W. Bush in 2008. They knew the housing crisis was going to collapse the housing markets really into 2007. They knew this. So but they didn't try to fix the problem. What they did is they basically just tried to limp to the Obama presidency, and it collapsed all in August of 2008. That's the same thing. They don't want to fix this problem. They're basically just looking for any knee-jerk reaction that they can, going through the oil reserves, lowering interest rates, lying about jobs numbers, using the crypto market to prop up the stock market, just to get to a point where they can say, Joe Biden did this. We are, like I said, I went out today and I went and filled up my gas tank. I'm going to just give you a little bit of advice. Fill up your gas tank today, because it's more than likely going to be a long time before you're going to see gas prices this cheap again, because Iran's not going to simply surrender. There's just too many. And even if they did, that country would probably fracture apart, and regimes that hate us even more than the current Iran regime will come into power in some areas and likely cause dramatic amounts of chaos within the oil sector. And sure, the people that run these other Middle Eastern countries, they don't like this. They like their money. They like the wealth. They like what they've got with the current oil situation. But one of the things I was reading about this weekend is there's a lot of people in the Middle East that are more on the Iran side of this, even as there are missiles raining down and drones raining down on their communities. They feel as if this is bowing down to, and especially, they don't like, a lot of these guys don't like the United States in the first place. They really hate us because of Donald Trump. Yeah, it's not been a good weekend. It's not going to be a good week. It's not going to be a good few months. And there is no quick way out. And I want to go back to that one line where Trump said, well, we're taking care of their nuclear capabilities. Henceforth, then the oil will start flowing again. He doesn't even begin to that statement. And I'm once again paraphrasing a little bit, but that statement is so freaking ignorant that it terrifies me to think that this man is actually calling the shots in this, because I don't think that man should be operating a spoon, let alone the federal government. And I've said that before. Chicago, Seattle, talk to you tomorrow. Minneapolis, St. Paul, and bam, hour 2 up next.
Crooners is a classic supper club with a wide range of entertainment. Make your reservations for a parade of international, national, and local artists in the main stage showroom, the intimate Dunsmore Jazz Room, or outdoors at the seasonal Belvedere Under the Stars space. Or enjoy Maggie's Piano Lounge. Enjoy 4-star food and drinks with first-class supper club service. What are you waiting for? Go to croonersmn.com for more information and schedule. That's croonersmn.com.
AM 950 would like to thank everyone who joined and donated during our winter membership drive. Your support shows that Minnesotans still value an independent progressive radio station that delivers facts, not spin. AM 950 is locally owned, based right here in the Twin Cities, and dedicated to uplifting small businesses and diverse communities. At a time when some voices are being pushed aside, AM 950 refuses to be silenced. Please help keep Progressive Radio on the air. Visit am950radio.com and donate today.
Come see the trained chimp. It's the Matt McNeil Show, 3 to 5 p.m. weekday afternoons, right here on AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. Oil prices surged and stocks slid for a time today after hardline Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei was chosen to succeed his late father as Iran's supreme leader. Ed Donahue has details.
The group of 7 major industrialized powers decided against using strategic reserves for now to counter the impact of oil prices from the war in Iran. Oil industry analyst Chris Beauchamp in London says the price could go higher.
Hormuz has been closed effectively, and we've seen a huge drop in the supply of oil coming through this key waterway. So the absence of supply means that prices have rocketed, and that really means that we're now dealing with the specter of inflation.
Beauchamp says the closure of the Strait of Hormuz doesn't just mean paying more for oil and gas.
More for their food, more for almost any good you can think of, really. So I think economies around the globe face an inflation shock in a way that we've not seen since Russia invaded Ukraine.
I'm Ed Donahue.
Still, stocks made a remarkable reversal after oil prices settled below $90 per barrel. The S&P flipped from 1.5% down in the morning to a gain of 0.8%. The Dow recovered to a gain of nearly 240 points, while the Nasdaq climbed 1.4%. And if you're flying anytime soon, Jennifer King reports plan for delays.
Long lines continue at airport security checkpoints in New Orleans and Houston. Waits over 3 hours, and airport officials are blaming it on staffing challenges as TSA agents work without pay due to the partial government shutdown. Jeff Friedman is the president and CEO of the U.S. Travel Association.
The people standing between our aviation system and those who would do it harm, they're showing up, they're doing their job, and they're not getting paid. It's not just unfair, it's reckless.
New Orleans International is telling travelers to expect a 2-hour wait. The Houston airports say travelers to Hobby should plan for a 4-hour wait, while there were minimal delays at George Bush Intercontinental. I'm Jennifer King.
This is AP News.
We know exactly what you're not thinking about right now. Wiper blades. But now that you are, take a moment to think about how Rain-X is the #1 brand of wiper blades in America. Why? Because Rain-X thinks about wiper blades all the time. We obsess, so you don't have to. Simply install our blades and then think about literally anything else. So choose Rain-X, America's #1 wiper blades, and then go back to not thinking about wiper blades. Rain-X. Outsmart the elements.
Meet Morgan Jones. Morgan is about to step into a world unknown to most, thanks to Progressive's Renters Insurance, a place of fresh linens and turn-down service. You see, Morgan temporarily vacated her apartment and has gone to a hotel because a pipe burst in her apartment. A pipe that made her sense of reality and apartment ceiling all come crashing down. Luckily, Morgan checked into Progressive's Protection Zone. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and
Hey, remember that one? That was big in the 60s, back when gas was like 30 cents a gallon, a house 22 grand, cigarettes a quarter a pack. But the packs came with a warning from the U.S. Surgeon General. Cigarette smoking causes lung cancer. Hey, it proved to be right. Music's changed, and so have prices. Gas is almost $3 a gallon. A decent house costs $250,000, and a pack of cigarettes is about $5. But now, there's another cancer warning from the U.S. Surgeon General. Radon causes lung cancer. And radon can cause lung cancer whether you smoke or not. Radon is an invisible, odorless gas that seeps into your home from underground. The only way to know if you have high levels of radon in your home is to have your home tested. The U.S. Surgeon General recommends it. Radon problems can be fixed. To learn more, call 1-800-SOS-RADON. 1-800-SOS-RADON or click on epa.gov/radon. From this station and the U.S. EPA.
Hi, this is Frank Brown with Minuteman Press Uptown. It's election season. If you're campaigning for a candidate, your outreach needs top quality union printed materials, from direct mail and yard signs to door hangers, buttons, t-shirts, and flyers. Minuteman Uptown is your union shop to get people to the polls. We print everything. We'll keep your candidate top of mind, target your message with a laser focus, and maximize your voter turnout efforts. Get started today at mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Today, sunshine with a high of 54, then tonight, partly cloudy with a low of 37. Step into Forts at Children's Theater Company. It's an interactive fort building adventure where theatrical elements and towering cardboard boxes spark shared creative play. Weekday availability during local spring breaks from March 17th through April 3rd. Tickets at childrenstheater.org.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour number 2 of the show here. Matt and Patrick here. A reminder, I got some tickets to give away a little bit later on. Men on Boats is going to be playing at the 825 Arts Building Thursday through Sunday. I got a pair of tickets to give away, so listen for your chance to call in and win with that. That's coming up sometime this hour. By the way, I don't know if you caught that at the news. So oil was up to about $120 per barrel. Then all of a sudden, the White House and the government started saying, oh, well, energy reserves are going to get released. We're going to release the energy reserves. And then all of a sudden, the oil came down. Well, as soon as the oil markets closed, what did they say? Oh, there's no agreement to release the oil reserves now. In a normal world, such blatant corruption would cause for an immediate investigation. But it's just Monday. It's just Monday. I mean, I saw the story today. Trump's sons have bought a drone, or are now major investors in a drone company that's looking for government contracts for war zones. And shocker, we're in a war now. Exactly. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Well, nothing is more. I mean, I had to find something upbeat for the weekend. So why not Norwegian drama movies? I did finally, Patrick, this is my final of the Oscar movies I really wanted to see. I finally saw it, Sentimental Value. Have you seen that one yet?
No.
Quite good. I mean, it is a serious drama. Did you know all 4 of the actors in this one are up for Oscars in this?
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is. Stellan Skarsgård is getting a lot of traction. Okay. He's good. He plays the father in this. It's about, his relationship with his daughters, and he's a film director, and he wants to make a film, and Elle Fanning plays the actress, the American actress, he wants to do the role, and she's fantastic. And it's kind of funny. I just saw her in Predator Badlands. She's actually a pretty good actress. Elle Fanning she's a pretty good actress, and she's up for Best Supporting Actress. I'm going to try to say this, but it's Norwegian. Inga Ibsdottir Lennes. Just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? Magical language. Inga is up for supporting actress. She was the younger sister in the movie. Her role is incredibly understated. I mean, it really comes home later on in the film. But the two that get the most run besides those two are Stellan Skarsgård, who a lot of people think he might win the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. I'm going to say it, Sean Penn, still, man. Having seen both of the films, One Battle After Another and Sentimental Value, I think Sean Penn deserves it more. I mean, Sean Penn is insanely good in One Battle After Another. I feel sorry for, and this is the older sister, Renate Rensby, once again, like lyrical magic off the tongue, Norwegian. Renate Rensby, who plays Nora in the movie. She was quite good. I feel so sorry for her, because in any other year, last year with that one movie where the woman that played the hooker prostitute that gets married to the Russian mobster, Honora, was that it? Honora was, I think, the name of that movie, where she won. If this performance was last year, she would have won it by a mile. Unfortunately, she's run into the woman from Hamnet, who is going to win that thing. I mean, that's her performance in Hamnet is one of the greatest acting performances I've ever seen in my life. That is the epitome of great actress getting a great role and a great director, and they put it all together. So I think the Oscars are this upcoming weekend, correct? We're going to have Joy Dolo is going to come on in here. We're going to talk about this later on Thursday, I believe it is.
That sounds about right.
A little bit. She's already told me I can't talk too much about entertainment. I'm like, well, what are we talking about? She said soup. And I said, okay, now I could talk about soup. I like soup. So I was talking, there's a group that was online that was talking about the kind of this rise in this conservative, TV and media, basically geared towards people 70 and older, where it's, NCIS and Yellowstone, and it's tough white guys getting tough white guy stuff done. And, kind of, sometimes it's mobsters, sometimes it's just tough corporate America, but there's all these corporate shows out there. And this person sort of said, and this made me laugh. He said, why don't they do a rural version? This was a pro-conservative television person. Why don't they do a version of Law and Order only in rural America? And it took me about 2 seconds to come back. It's like, well, because you would not have real consistent episode length. Let me give you an example of that. If you did Law and Order out in, I don't know, any rural town, pick a rural town. Tung, you did that. If it was the episode where the mayor's son is accused of burning a cross in the minority family's yard, well, the police are quickly going to come on out here and say, this is a harmless prank. I don't think anything needs to happen. And the county attorney is going to refuse to prosecute. So, end of story. Meanwhile, it will be a 3-parter when the African-American family comes into town and it's deemed they might have taken a penny from the take a penny, leave a penny jar that they shouldn't have. And so they have them in a full investigation, and you're going to have guns drawn and a drawn out trial and a county attorney screaming and hammering on the table saying, we know there's a crime here and we're not going to stop until we've turned over every rock. Yeah. So that episode would be a 3-parter, but the one where the white guy burns the cross because it's the wealthy person's kid. And trust me, I've lived in rural America. That happens a lot. You guess what? Yeah, that's going to be a quick episode. So no, you're not going to be. No, you're not. No, you're not going to pull off Law and Order, small town. That's just not going to be there. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. I mentioned sports earlier. I want to take some time to once again address Bill Guerin. Now, for people who may not know, you do know who this guy is, but you don't know what his day job is. His day job is he's the general manager of the Minnesota Wild NHL hockey team. He also was, I believe, general manager for the U.S. men's Olympic hockey team and was responsible for turning the USA men's gold medal celebration into the MAGA gold medal celebration and, getting the call from Trump, which disparaged the women's team and took what should have been an iconic moment in American history and ruined it in about 20 minutes because they turned it into MAGA. And no, there's not a chance in hell that if a Democrat was in the White House, Bill Guerin would have allowed their FBI director to come in and chug some brewskis with the team and wear a medal, or would have allowed, the president himself to call in afterwards. They would have said, hey, let them celebrate. So, and we've talked about this extensively since the Olympics that, this is, talk about once again, you burned off a tremendous amount of goodwill in regards to what should have been an iconic moment. Well, the argument is now that they visited the White House, now that they got the USA men's teams to wear Trump merch, and yeah. Now it's and say, hey, we respect the chicks, kind of tone. People say, hey, see, you guys made a big deal out of this. No, we didn't. You guys basically were scrambling to cover your cabooses. But then something else came to my attention. Now, of course, we're in the Twin Cities, and so we get to the Wild games, and it's not clear who the sponsorship deal is with. Whether it's the Wild or whether it's with the FanDuel broadcast network that broadcasts the Wild games, my guess is it's a little bit of both, because I guarantee you there is probably the ability to deny an advertiser that they don't feel is a good advertiser. So my guess is it's a twofold thing, that ads that air in the local broadcast of a Wild game are split between the FanDuel network and the Wild. And it was a far right, narrative validation machine called Alpha News was the sponsor. Now, they have news in their title. They're a far right narrative machine. They are, I have no problem saying I'm a progressive radio host. I believe in the things from the left, and I push for them, and I kind of believe in this stuff. I'm not trying to describe myself as the AM 950 news team, because I'm not. But Republicans do this all the time, not just in Alpha News, but other places, where they have, quote, news outlets whose whole purpose is to basically feed, anti-Democrat, pro-Republican narrative validation, content to the people that need to be there. And I trust me, I'm not a big fan of it. I took a few minutes to go look over there. Give you an idea of one of the, there's a political cartoon that they had on their page of, and it had it was a three-headed snake. And one of the snakes was fraud, one was Keith Ellison, and one was Governor Walz. And the first thing I said is, wait a second, isn't cut the head off the snake the idiom for neutralizing a threat by eliminating its leadership or core source, rather than attacking its followers or symptoms? It emphasizes decisive, targeted action to prevent further harm. The phrase is frequently used in political, military contexts. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And so when they're portraying Walz and Ellison as a snake, and the first thing I think of isn't the term cut the head off the snake. I don't think it's I'm not saying the cartoonist definitively wanted that to be the point, but I don't think it, for anybody who looked at it, that phrase, which is a fairly common phrase, crossed my mind. And it made me ask the question of, what was the point of the editorial cartoon? Because we do have a thing in this country with, taking the heads off of snakes. It's a theme that we've had for a long time in politics here. So I don't know. I just saw that political cartoon and I said, oh yeah, this is the reason why I don't come here. that's endless calling. And so it's like, okay, yeah, all right. I got off the page. But I mean, I could see the headlines, Democrats, the Democrats, the Democrats, this, that sort of thing. Just, it's narrative validation. And anybody who says, well, they're a real news network, is only a person that wants to basically push the narrative validation as a news network. Do they occasionally get some news stories? Yeah, I occasionally get some news stories. I have. I know. That's weird. But occasionally I have. It's happened. But I don't consider myself a news network. So it's right-wing propaganda disguised as news, and that's where they are. And there it is, broadcasting on the Wild game. There you go. Now, once again, this is after Bill Guerin, and for us here in the Twin Cities, the familiarity we have with the guy at this point is this is the guy that the same people who ordered the troops in the federal Gestapo force into our city, who killed two people, shot another person, violated human rights, tormented the city, dangled children as bait, shipped children off to foreign places, lied constantly, abused people, went after peaceful protesters, did substantial economic damage. All these things did happen, and Bill Guerin sided with the people that did that to the people of the city that he's supposedly in charge of the teams where their fan base is. And I get it. Hockey is its own little thing. As far as when you look at the sports, it's not a sport a lot of people just pick up and grab some sticks. To be part of hockey today, just even in a high school level, your parents are spending tens of thousands of dollars a year in ice time, in camps, in training, in equipment. It is by far one of the most expensive sports out there, if not the most expensive sport. And it's not a big surprise what the majority of people who play it are kids that come from wealthy white suburban areas. It's true. A lot of people do. And so I understand that there's going to be with that, and probably if I was to say there is a bias in all the major sports, I would probably say the NBA, although A-Rod, who owns the Timberwolves, being over with Trump was a little bit of a what? Once again, siding with the guy that attacked our city. I think the NBA, probably maybe MLS teams on the far side, NBA, probably Major League Baseball, probably football, and then the hockey teams. That's how I'd say it. But still, a lot of these places, they understand a few things, that they don't necessarily want to put forward a right-wing. We are the right-wing news outlet. We are the right-wing supporters. We support Republican candidates. And the reason why is simple, is because they need taxpayer dollars to build their arenas to their sport. They need taxpayer dollars for this. And fine, you want Alpha News to broadcast. You want to associate yourself with Alpha News. That's fine. That's your right. You can sell advertising. That's the case. I highly doubt that if I took my radio station, AM 950, and I went to the Minnesota Wild and said, hey, we would like to do the same thing, my guess is we would be told, no, we can't because we're too political. But Alpha News isn't? Okay. But Matt, there's news in their names. Okay, well, we'll call it the Matt McNeil News Hour. But you're a liberal hack. Oh, I see. I mean, I'm paraphrasing and speculating, pure speculation. But my guess is going to be the Minnesota Wild. If I went to them and said we would like to do this and sponsor this, they'd say no, we don't allow politics to get on there. By the way, Alpha News. That would be my guess. I want to warn Bill Guerin and the NHL of going down this path because we've seen this before. And I've actually talked about this before, but because they definitely, now that they're once again advertising right-wing networks on their broadcast, or I should say like Republican talking point validation networks. I'm going to say it like that. That's probably a more accurate way to say it. Republican talking point validation networks. They're advertising this. There clearly seems to be this whole idea of they want to get into bed with this. And I want to give them a warning. And the warning is in the shape of NASCAR. I'll come back. I'll talk a little bit more about this. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. It is the Matt McNeil Show here on your Monday.
Peace of mind shouldn't cost a fortune. We keep things simple at Schroman Law because we believe planning for your estate and end-of-life care shouldn't be stressful or expensive. Every client relationship starts with a free consultation so clients have the information they need before making important decisions. From there, we work closely with clients to ensure they are choosing the most efficient and cost-effective plans for their specific needs. Schedule a free consultation today at schromanlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067 or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
Hi, this is Chad from AM 950. I've been telling you about Snap Construction, the company AM 950 trusts for all roofing and siding needs. Now that spring is here and summer is around the corner, now is a great time to find out why AM 950 trusts Snap Construction. Ryan, the owner, and his team at Snap Construction have been great to work with, and they have enjoyed working with our listeners.
Hi, this is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. We've absolutely loved working with the listeners at AM 950. What a great group of people and a great radio station. I personally want to thank all the listeners that we've had the opportunity to work with. At Snap Construction, we look forward to working with many more of you when it comes to your roofing, siding, windows, and insulation. Don't just take Chad's word for it. Google Snap Construction, arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, window, and insulation contractor in the Twin Cities metro. We led this community with a lifetime craftsmanship warranty. Don't wait to get a free estimate. Call today, 612-333-SNAP, 612-333-SNAP, or visit us online, snapconstruction.com.
AM 950 would like to thank everyone who joined and donated during our winter membership drive. Your support shows that Minnesotans still value an independent progressive radio station that delivers facts, not spin. AM 950 is locally owned, based right here in the Twin Cities, and dedicated to uplifting small businesses and diverse communities. At a time when some voices are being pushed aside, AM 950 refuses to be silenced. Please help keep progressive radio on the air. Visit am950radio.com and donate today.
Crooners is a classic supper club with a wide range of entertainment. Make your reservations for a parade of international, national, and local artists in the main stage showroom, the intimate Dunsmore Jazz Room, or outdoors at the seasonal Belvedere Under the Stars space. Or enjoy Maggie's Piano Lounge. Enjoy 4-star food and drinks with first-class supper club service. What are you waiting for? Go to croonersmn.com for more information and schedule. That's croonersmn.com.
It is the Matt McNeil Show, 952-946-6205. No, I mean, one of the things I want to be very clear about is this really, I mean, Alpha News wants to, they have money to spend. They want to go get advertising. They're more than welcome to call them. This is not about them. It's about whether or not after you had Bill Guerin involved with the U.S. Olympic hockey team, favoritism towards MAGA, do you want to keep pushing a right-wing narrative? I should remind people, the city and the team are currently seeking $125 million from the state to renovate the NHL arena and $75 million for the 94-year-old auditorium that's next door to it. So they want $200 million in state taxpayer dollars. Oh, by the way, right-wing stuff. And yeah, I mean, and I've talked about this in the past with the Minnesota Vikings when Red McCombs owned the team and they were the Minnesota Republican Party Vikings. Well, they didn't get a new stadium. They had to sell the team to actually get someone that could get the stadium because no one wanted to help Red McCombs. And frankly, right now, if I am a Democrat, a DFLer in the state capitol, and this bill comes across the desk, it's going right in the trash. Because, I mean, I don't want to give public taxpayer dollars to something that promotes right-wing agenda stuff. And whether that's Kash Patel or Donald Trump or right-wing, websites. I don't think it's, there are plenty of other sports options out there that are not wearing their politics on their sleeve. And as a matter of fact, most of them intentionally don't, for a very simple reason, that if you do this, there's generally a pretty bad pushback. And it might not happen for a few years, but let me go and give you the ultimate warning on this. NASCAR. Now, I, for even a while, thought NASCAR was pretty cool. I think, although a lot of the traditional old fans hated the idea of Jeff Gordon and the California boy that came in and was, kind of doing that sort of thing. I think that there were people that didn't like that. The truth is, I thought it was great. And it blossomed eventually into what was becoming, and I would make an argument, was even more popular than the NHL for a while there in the late 1990s, early first decade of this century. That they became a must-place destination. They had tons of personalities. You had communities who were building NASCAR tracks, which are not cheap, out in places in Chicago and in Michigan. And, these are not cheap facilities, and they would build these things. And yeah, it was popular. And as a matter of fact, if you went back to 2006, the Daytona 500, which once again, NASCAR is weird. Their biggest event is the first event of the season, but it got 19 million viewers, 19 million viewers for that. It basically, that's huge. And that was just their first race. I mean, they were traditionally getting 6, 7, 8 million viewers on every single race, which generally were pretty long races. And the drivers, they were getting a lot of national attention, and the cars were getting a lot of national attention. And the races were being covered as top news coverage, sports coverage on ESPN and stuff. Today, let's fast forward to today and look at where NASCAR is today. NASCAR just had their Daytona 500. They did not get 19 million viewers. They averaged 7.49. They peaked at 9.2, which is less than half of the audience they had in 2006. 20 years later, they are no longer, and once again, I think back in 2006, 2005, 2006, NASCAR was probably the fourth biggest sport in this country behind the NBA, football, and baseball. I think it was even more popular than hockey. But today, I wouldn't put NASCAR, I'd make an argument they're 8th or 9th most popular at best. At best, at this point. Their races are not featured on anything but what kind of secondary networks. They're almost all on cable. Their races get like 1 million, less than 2 million. Some of the races have less than 2 million viewers. No one's watching. No one is watching NASCAR. How do you take a sport which is at the pinnacle of their popularity in 2006 and get them today to be an also-ran? Let's go, Brandon. That's right. That's right. At a NASCAR race early in President Joe Biden's first term, the hick crowd started screaming, blank Joe Biden. And the announcer made the comment saying they were going, let's go, Brandon, referring to a driver, which became the mega rallying cry during the Biden administration. I mean, you guys couldn't say enough. You were like a 3-year-old with a cookie. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. You thought it was so funny. You had shirts, you got merch, you got tons of merch, which, okay, yeah, really relevant now. It's like, who shot JR? Yeah, there you go. Good luck with all that. You got all this merch and stuff like this. And NASCAR initially made a monumental mistake, and they kind of embraced this because Trump was there and so they embraced it, and you had Trump coins and stuff, and it became the Trump Racing League, not NASCAR. And by the time NASCAR started realizing the mistake they had made, the damage was done. Now, once again, there are other things that take place as well. But you wonder why so many people started turning off the marginal fan who might have watched a game or race back in the 1990s or early 2000s. Why? No, I have zero interest in ever watching a NASCAR race ever again. You do that because you basically told half the country, more than half the country, you're not welcome here. This is a right-wing sport. It's for right-wing people. You'd better chant, let's go, Brandon. And if you're a Joe Biden fan, you're not welcome here. And by the time this was all over, NASCAR now, I think their races are on the freaking CW. No one cares. Now, once again, you want to welcome Kash Patel. You want to have right-wing, Republican point validation machines as your sponsors. That's fine. That's your call. That's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. And, I'm no fool. I think that you still fill up the arena for the Wild here in town. I think you will. I think you'll still fill it up. I think you will. And you probably get some decent numbers watching the games. But don't ask me for taxpayer dollars. If you want to be a pro right wing, if you want to wear your opinion on your sleeve like this, that's fine. That's fine. Then stop asking Democrats to give you money, and shame on any Democrat that gives them money under the argument of, well, yeah, sure, they're going to use it to campaign against me, but, I think it's a good investment. No, it's not. It's, sports arenas are notoriously bad investments. They are horrifically bad, inefficient investments you probably shouldn't be getting into. But let alone, hey, will you guys make sure that you guys aren't using this to campaign against me? Sure, give us the money. We won't do that. In the second they get the money, it's like, hey, you're campaigning against me. NASCAR is a template for the NHL. If you guys want to get into bed with the right, that is your prerogative. And that's what you want to do. Nothing here is illegal by any means. But then you need to understand that when all of a sudden you do start losing the marginal fan, because I'd rather watch a women's hockey league game than an NHL game right now. I would rather watch a women's hockey game than a men's game. I would much rather watch that. Matter of fact, I did watch a little bit of the Frost versus Toronto this weekend. If you want to lose the marginal fan, if you want to basically have to explain why your right-leaning organization can be trusted with taxpayer dollars from Democrats, why you're siding with the people who ordered the federalized Gestapo ICE police force to attack the city that you're supposed to be trying to appeal to in your community, that's your prerogative. More power to you. But just don't ask me for some taxpayer dollars. I would be very interested. Maybe we need to call them up and say, we would like to do the same thing. We would like to sponsor this. I wonder if they would allow us to do it. I'm going to guess we would hear well, you guys are political. Sure. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. We'll take a break. Come on back. It is the Matt McNeil Show here on your Monday.
Hi, this is Frank Brown of Minuteman Press Uptown with a question for our listeners. How important are business values to you? When you need high-quality digital print, it matters who you work with. You see, Minuteman Uptown is unique. We're one of the only union print shops in Minnesota providing our team with living wages and benefits. We believe in second chances for justice-impacted individuals who want to contribute to the community, and we are active in local issues. We've been in the streets standing up for racial, social, and economic justice. At Minuteman Uptown, our mission is to connect all communities through technology-driven print solutions. An example of that mission is when I moved Minuteman Uptown to North Minneapolis. We're invested in this local community, and we help small businesses and local organizations throughout the Twin Cities reach their audiences. Reach out to Minuteman Uptown and partner with a printer that shares your values. Call us today at 612-870-0777 or visit us at mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com.
Prime Productions is thrilled to bring the world premiere of Abuelita by Nathan Youngerberg to the Capri Theater March 14th through the 29th. A grandmother from Iowa brings her grandson to meet his Puerto Rican relatives in sweltering New York, 1993. Tabby's world is transformed with music, dancing, and community. Directed by Shay Cage. Pay-as-your tickets can be purchased at primeprods.org. That's spelled prime, P-R-O-D-S.org.
Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. The end of winter is finally on the horizon, and you're going to start thinking about all that nasty crud that's built up in your home over these last few months. Call my cleaning heroes at Zero Res to help get you an early start on the spring cleanup. Zero Res removes winter's buildup and lingering odors, giving your home a fresh, spring-ready feel. This month, get Zero Resified from Minnesota's #1 carpet cleaner. Buy one room, get another free. Buy another room of carpet cleaning, get another room of carpet done for free. Get the picture? Also this month, get a free size upgrade on every whole home air duct cleaning package. Don't you love when you buy your favorite beverage and get a free size upgrade? That's what Zero Res is doing this month with their whole home air duct cleaning package. Start spring cleaning with a free upgrade and pay less for more fresh. Call Zero Res right now, 952-ZERO-RES, or go online to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same, Zero Res. With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low of 37, then Tuesday, cloudy with a high of 47. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has the best roast beef sandwiches in the Twin Cities, but don't miss out on the chicken, fish, brisket, Philly steak, and more. Maverick's is located in Roseville on Lexington Avenue, 1 mile south of Highway 36. Visit mavericksbeef.com. This is AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Oh, let's give away some tickets, shall we? Men on Boats is an irrelevant retelling of the expedition of the Colorado River from the 19th century by white European men, but no one in the parts are played by white European men. It is a play that's going to be playing over at the 825 Arts Building on University Avenue in St. Paul. We got performances Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Thursday and Friday, 7:30 p.m., Saturday and Sunday, 2 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Caller number 5. You'll win a pair of tickets to whatever showing you want to go to. You get a pair of tickets. You can choose Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday to go see this play, Men on Boats, over at the 825 Arts Building on University Avenue in St. Paul. Once again, 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Caller number 5, you get to choose which show you go to, whether Thursday, Friday, or the 2. You get to choose between the 2 on Saturday or the 2 on Sunday. Good luck. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. If you did not read the fairly exceptional Rolling Stone article on Shakopee, Minnesota, and regarding the ICE agents and their behavior and their actions in the southwestern Minneapolis suburb, it's a very interesting one to look at. Magdalena fought hard for her American dream. Now it is dying on the side of the road near the Shakopee Hy-Vee supermarket. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents surrounded her car with handguns and rifles drawn. They were all wearing masks. More agents swarmed the car in front of her. It holds her 2 teenage daughters. They are both American citizens and on their way to school. An ICE agent starts banging on the windshield. She doesn't know what to do. The agent with the rifle demands Magdalena's papers. Roll down the blanking window. He stares her down. Magdalena is frightened. All she can do is beg her children, let them go. They're U.S. citizens, please. In December, Trump sent thousands of ICE agents to Minnesota. The president raged that the Somali American fraud in Minnesota was the reason for the surge. Once again, he got that impression because the Minnesota Republican Party welcomed in the Utah mama's boy to come to the blatantly racist Somali video to get in front of Trump's face so that he would have his new, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. And this time he decided to send a militarized federal force on to destroy the city of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and ended up destroying a good chunk of the state of Minnesota's economy. Good luck, construction workers. I still hear you guys are having a mess right now. That's courtesy of Donald Trump. Trump sent thousands of agents to Minnesota. But Magdalena asked the question, why are so many of the people being arrested Hispanic? If they are there to attack the Somali American population, why did the ICE agents so quickly run to the Hispanics population? And why, if the focus is Minneapolis, as the news reported, there are dozens of dark-tinted SUVs circling her suburban Shakopee neighborhood. Magdalena and her family take precautions. Her husband shuts down his business. She makes sure her girls have their passports with them at all time and begins following them on their 10-minute drive to Shakopee High School as an added precaution. That's fear, folks. That is just plain fear. As Magdalena tells it, it was just after 8 a.m. in mid-January. So after they had shot Renee Good, probably before they shot the man in North Minneapolis and then killed Alex Preddy later on that month. The temperatures are still below zero. Magdalena's girls load up their car for school. That's when Magdalena notices a silver SUV. Magdalena loads up her car and the SUV slowly creeps ahead. She motions for the girls to drive. 3 more SUVs pull out of a parking lot and join the silver SUV. They tailgate Magdalena. She texts a neighbor and tells him to spread word that ICE is in the area. Don't come out. Like Anne Frank hiding in the building from the Nazis. Wow. A silver SUV pulls out of the caravan, speeds past Magdalena and her daughter's car. He throws on his flashing lights and forces the 2 cars off the road. The other SUVs pull up and box the 2 cars in. A half dozen agents, and by the way, and what I'm describing here happened everywhere. It happened in outstate Minnesota. It happened in Republican areas, happened in Democratic areas, happened in the inner city. It happened everywhere. A half dozen agents stalk towards Magdalena's car. 2 of them pull handguns. A third brandishes a rifle. So they've got guns drawn, going to school. Magdalena's first thoughts are for her girls. One of the daughters has special needs, and she knows she will go to pieces. Agents bang on the girl's car window. Magdalena can't focus. She sees her kids crying hysterically. The girls press their passports against the window. Magdalena doesn't want to think about what would have happened if one of them left their passport in another jacket. Please, I really have to go to the bathroom. Please, says one of the girls. The girls are released about 15 minutes. They drive away, and the agents focus on Magdalena. She cracks the window and again asks why they stopped her. An angry agent manually forces her window all the way down. She's resisting. Get her out of the car. Magdalena refuses to move. The agents eventually tell her car she is driving is linked to an undocumented citizen. This is a lie. Something ICE agents did all the time. This was a lie. It's registered to her stepfather, who is a documented citizen. She shows agents her DACA paperwork. They look at her and said, this doesn't mean anything. Because once again, this wasn't about justice or anything. This was about racism. She refuses to give them the paper. She knows they have a habit of not returning them. Instead, we talked about that last week, where they're now being sued for replacement of papers, and they're like, we have no idea where they are. And without a doubt in my mind, there are ICE agents that stole all this paperwork and have like a scrapbook at home so they can show their racist grandkids eventually. That's when Papa was out there harassing those migrants. Instead, Magdalena produces another letter from the United States government that states her DACA status prevents her from being deported. This flummoxes the agents, and they make a series of calls. Eventually, the agents say she can be deported based on an old ticket she received for driving without a license in the 2000s. This was from before she had a DACA status. For a moment, she doesn't remember the ticket. The agent screams at her, "You're lying to us!" Remind her, these same agents openly lied about the car being registered to somebody who was undocumented, and no, the person was documented. So they knew this. They're the ones who are lying. Magdalena has visions of being hauled away to an ICE detention center and never seeing her children again. This is in paranoia. The DHS admits in February it's deporting 86 DACA recipients. She tries to focus. I'm done talking. You're trying to trap me. I want to talk to my lawyer. Finally, another agent comes up. She's okay. Let her go. Then Magdalena says something she later regrets. Thank you. I don't blame you. I'd regret that too. I don't know. Magdalena, I want to make sure, just for the record, I probably would have been the same way just because you would have been relieved. And once again, we want to make sure we understand. They went up there and for 15 minutes terrorized the two girls. Terrorized them. And I want you to think about the two girls who are driving to school, who are leaving their mother behind, not knowing if they will ever see her again. Because the ICE Gestapo has a tendency of grabbing these people and disappearing them into the system. Deporting them to just any country where they look somewhat like her, so we'll ship her there. Those kids don't know. They probably were bawling, running for the school, trying to get to the administrator's office, trying to explain what happened, trying to call their mother. Terrorizing the community. Terrorizing these human beings. You fake freaking Christians. Human beings you're doing this to. Magdalena drives to the Shakopee High School, home of the Sabres. She parks and finds her daughters waiting in the office. They hug and fall to the floor, crying and shaking. Happened multiple times. In February, I asked Magdalena why she thinks they were stopped. They saw my brown skin, that's all. I didn't hear hatred in their voices of others targeted. They all just wanted one thing, to be treated like Americans. Real scandal morphed into Salem levels of hysteria in December. That's when right-wing influencer and Utah mama's boy, Nick Shirley, shot video purporting to show closed sham daycare centers in Minneapolis that garnered 135 million views. None of Shirley's claims have actually been substantiated, but it didn't matter. So once again, all the stuff he claimed in the videos, not true. Then Trump moved to thousands of ICE agents into Minnesota with the purpose goal of capturing Somali fraudsters, deporting them, but they just, because they can't, these are racist. Once you know, with Pringles, they pop, they can't stop. They just have to go through and find all the races at that point, and that's kind of what they did. It became clear that most Minnesotans swept in the ICE raids were not Somali and or the worst of the worst, as Trump and the DHS like to frame it, nor were they Hispanic, they were Hispanic people who have nothing to do with social welfare scams, real or imagined. In one way, Shakopee was already a right-wing influencer's dream. In 2021, an undocumented Cuban immigrant actually decapitated his girlfriend, America Thayer, with a knife and left her body in the Shakopee street. He was acquitted due to mental illness and sent to a mental health facility. Any complaints about ICE tactics could be met online with grisly photos and comments about Thayer's murder. Because they, once again, that's a Republican policy, that we can mistreat anybody, anyway, anyhow, because there was one thing that happened way back when, and yeah, that's it. Meanwhile, when their kid is pulled over for the fourth time at 17 years old, drinking and driving in their suburban neighborhood, they're like, why do you think there's some sort of pattern here? Come on, just because Billy likes to have a little fun, don't you have fun in high school? You got to let him go. He's a white kid. Exactly. Exactly. The Trump administration started slowly in Shakopee, first notifying local factories that many of their employees did not have work papers. Some laborers simply stopped showing up to work. In early December, ICE vehicles showed up, circled school bus stops in predominantly Hispanic neighborhoods. That's when Representative Brad Tabke, who is down there, a really good politician, his wife Katie, a school teacher, activated their connections. They held seminars in the Shakopee residents could help their besieged friends. The Shakopee resistance was non-confrontational. If law enforcement asked you to back up, you didn't confront them, you backed up and lived to resist another day. If you want to be more aggressive and in their faces, there's other organizations. Tabke told attendants, that's not us. The volunteers patrolled Shakopee's neighborhoods where ICE was hitting the hardest and packed and delivered groceries to 350 families. Not that all Shakopee was on board. The town is ultimately a purple district. Tabke was elected by 14 votes after contentious recount. Trump's aggravated attacks emboldened bigots in the community. And by the way, once again, what should be noted, the Republicans didn't even want to seat him because they insisted that he wasn't, the legitimate representative. But he actually cares about the representative, the people that live there. That's for sure. There still is ICE activity in Minnesota, and a lot of it. There's still more ICE agents here per capita than I think anywhere else in the country. Even though Minnesota is the 21st, has the 21st most undocumented workers in this country. I mean, you could go to Florida, Texas, Ohio. There's more there, but they're still here in large numbers. We cannot escape past this. And these people and their tendency to lie and terrorize cannot be forgotten and should not be forgotten. This Rolling Stone article is exceptional. I'll make sure I post it up there again. You should read this. There's a lot more to this story there. Obviously, Rolling Stone doing a very good job of of putting out their historic record. This is what good journalism actually does look like, a historic record of what actually did happen in the streets of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and its suburbs. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. We'll take a break, wrap up the show. When we do return, it is the Matt McNeil Show. With the excitement of March Madness coming, popcorn, that's Popped corn.com, needs to be in your starting lineup. Enjoy your favorite flavor of popcorn, gourmet popcorn, like cheese made with real cheese, the classic mix, or the featured flavor of shamrock caramel. And many college teams are featured on Popped Corn's tins. You can ship your team tin across the USA. Find your team at poppedcorn.com and enter in the discount code MATT to get 10% off your order. That's discount code MATT at popcorn, Popped corn.com.
Hi, I'm Mary T. Caring for others runs deep in my family. My grandmother, Rosa, was a nurse who cared for people in their homes more than a century ago. Inspired by her compassion, my mother, Margaret, and I founded the Mary T. family of companies nearly 50 years ago. Today, we continue that legacy across Minnesota, Wisconsin, Maryland, and Arizona, providing senior living, assisted living with memory care, home health, hospice care, rental housing, and support for people with disabilities. Each service is personal, creative, and focuses on the unique needs of those we serve. We also believe in joy and community, which is why we opened Crooner Supper Club in Fridley, a place to celebrate life with music, laughter, and connection. At Mary T., we're proud to be a Minnesota family company rooted in compassion, inclusion, and respect, and proud supporters of AM 950 and the values that this station represents. Visit MaryTinc.com to learn more.
Congratulations to Mary T., named one of the most admired CEOs of 2026 by the Minneapolis-St. Paul Business Journal.
Next Chapter Booksellers is the perfect destination for indoor winter activities. Cozy up with a book. They have all the bestsellers and new releases. Plus, their booksellers are great at making recommendations. Beyond books, enjoy mind-bending puzzles and family fun board games for those snowy days. And don't miss Next Chapter's in-store events, book clubs, author signings, and children's story time. So stay busy this winter with Next Chapter Booksellers off Snelling and Grand in St. Paul. More at nextchapterbooksellers.com.
Hey, Francois, I have a gift for you to celebrate National Macaroons Day on March 20th.
Bonjour Laura, c'est très gentil.
It's a make-your-own macaroon kit.
Mais pourquoi? J'ai les macarons de Nicolette.
I know you love Nicolette's. Now you can see what it's like to make your own.
Mais pourquoi? J'ai les macarons de Nicolette.
Do you want to try making macaroons?
Mais pourquoi? J'ai les macarons de Nicolette.
Oh, well, at least I'll have a gift receipt.
Mais j'ai un cadeau pour toi pour la fête des macarons.
A gift for me? Is it a gift card from NicolettesMacaroons.com?
Oui, je t'en prie. Bon appétit.
Step into Forts, a fort-building wonderland at Children's Theater Company through April 5th. theatrical elements, evolving light and soundscapes, and towers of cardboard boxes set the scene for creative play. Build the tallest fort, the longest fort, or tons of cozy little forts. Design a castle or a neighborhood. Your imagination leads the way as you play freely and create shared stories together in real life. Forts at CTC through April 5th. Spring break weekdays available. Tickets at childrenstheater.org.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. One final thing I wanted to turn our attention to South Dakota. I think that's actually the state motto, isn't it? South Dakota. Oh, fine. It's pretty. There's some nice parks out there. There's some nice national parks out there. Voters in South Dakota will soon be able to challenge other voters' citizenship. Dear Lord. Now, the good news is there's a way for us to completely and totally derail this entire thing, but let me get to the story here. Republican Governor Larry Roden, signed legislation in the law last week that authorizes challenges by individuals and election officials. That's right. In South Dakota, the neighbors can narc on you if they think that you're not really from here, which we all know what that means. They're not lily white like me. The new law will not affect the June 2nd primary election, but it won't take effect until July 1st, which is the regular effective date for the new law of the state. State law already allows challenges to voter registration up to 90th day before an election if a person is suspected of lacking South Dakota residency. The new law adds citizenship as justification for a challenge. Challenges may be filed with the South Dakota Secretary of State's office, the auditor in the county where the voter is registered, or a voter in the same county. The challenge must be in the form of a signed sworn statement and must include what the law describes as documented evidence. If a county auditor deemed the challenge valid, registrants are given a chance to produce documentation verifying their registration is valid. If the auditor ultimately cancels the registration, they can appeal the court and so spend your own money to get back on the voter rolls because some right-wing tool basically said you couldn't do it. The Secretary of State over there, who's horrible, testified for this. If you sign somebody who's not a citizen is trying to vote, then do something about it. Now, this is not about stopping fraudulent vote because that's so minuscule. And in a state like South Dakota, come on, it's not really happening. What this is about is giving white racists the power to basically go after minority people and say, well, they're not like me, so they're going to be there. Well, which brings up just a theory I have. Just a theory. See if you can follow this. You can fill out this paperwork and put with it find every white guy in South Dakota and put a Polaroid picture of that white guy with your justification and said, well, last time I checked, this guy's not Native American, so clearly he's not here. He's not a native. He came from some European country, so clearly he needs to have his voter registration checked. And because first of all, they can't really sue you for pointing that out. Plus, if you flood the Secretary of State office and these auditors' office, this will become such a burden. It's like when these Republicans did these Freedom of Information Request acts and basically could demand every piece of paperwork for the last 20 years. It completely stymied a lot of facilities because they're constantly delivering boxes and boxes of paperwork for these idiots that think that the Illuminati are controlling my water coming into my kitchen sink. So that's just one theory, is that, if you're not Native American, do you really have a right to vote? Because, they're from here. We not. And so maybe you should file a few of those citizenship challenges. I think it'd be a hoot because it'd be great to watch the South Dakota politicians going, this isn't for white people. Exactly. We already know that's what would happen. Native Roots Radio is up next. Have a good one. We are back on your Tuesday. Till then, see ya.
Greg Bakken here. If you're craving some